All right, I'm back. Part two, right? How many ounces in a cup? Had to go handle some business real quick somewhere in the world, but from right here though, right? So in my haste, I realized there was a couple points I wanted to add, and then the humorous part of the actual answer to the question of how many ounces are in a cup. So for those that are seeing this one first, go back and watch the first one, which is just called "How Many Ounces Are in a Cup." It gives you like the psychology of what the opportunity is for the community growth to happen and why they don't understand that opportunity. Those people who are in their lower level penthouses. You know what I'm saying? In the emotional intelligence world. And what I mean by that is what we were covering on there was on the first one was hold up. Was this graph from the book Power vs. Force that calibrates human emotion. And the thing was, if you're at a lower level, you may, and you don't know about this, right? You may not realize that you're at a lower level, and from your perspective, it's easy to have the belief that you have great insight, right? And then we went into finding out that the claim is, whether it's true or not, I don't know, but they say that a quick Google search says that the average person can see 2 to 3 miles. So imagine if this was a distance, and if you're feeling guilt, then you can't see far enough because enlightenment or acceptance or willingness is more than 2 to 3 miles beyond your current position. So you can't see what that looks like. So if someone was talking to you from saying, hey, you have to take ownership of this, right? But what you want to do is give an excuse about, or give an emotion because you haven't accepted, like acceptance is here, right? So if you haven't reached the level of acceptance, but you got to be willing first. Willingness comes before acceptance as far as an emotion. And you have to go through willingness and acceptance to actually find reason. So someone who's trapped down here in grief, why is this happening? What did this? No, when someone tells you what it is, now you're like, I don't want to, you're making me feel bad because you still want to be down here because you haven't had the willingness, acceptance, or to find the reason. So if you can't get to reason, we know love is a noun, Y97, not a verb. So you'll never get the love or the joy or the peace, and definitely not reach enlightenment in the matter because you're still stuck down here in the lower vibrations. This is why the people, like I gave in that example, like the sales guy, they get emotional and they run from you and they tell you, oh, you don't understand, because to them, right? To them, where is that here? Oh, here it goes. To them, right? They're living in the penthouse of the 6-story apartment of consciousness. From their perspective, they are sitting on top of their known world. And I say it just like I mean it, of their known world. Now, the issue is people that are in the higher levels, we realize that that is their known world. So what I'm learning from them without judging them is I'm learning their limited field of view. And that allows me to offer them empowerment to grow beyond that. But what ignorant people do is tell you, I don't think you understand. Because they are used to the people who live in the floors beneath them looking up to them as being the penthouse owner of the 6-story apartment building. They are the shit compared to them. They are the ones that they go to for help, etc., etc., etc. They are the local leader. So they feel that way no matter where they go. And that's not talk, it's not a negative thing if they understand this. The person here, as a quick recap, is looking down at them, because that's the first thing they try to hit you with on an emotional guilt trip is, oh, you're talking down to me, or you're saying this about me, and my clients aren't ignorant. Well, if they weren't ignorant, you wouldn't have clients, because you're teaching them something. And if they were paying attention to it, then they would already know it, and they wouldn't need you to teach them as a coach. Like, you don't realize how dumb you sound. I didn't tell you were dumb. I just told you what the truth was. And then we talked about it here. They don't like to mirror these certain people. But see, it's not even about telling them. You're not even trying to tell them that they're dumb. You're trying to give them the understanding of who you are, because you know they don't know to think beyond what exists in their 2 to 3 miles of sight. So now you're here looking, here's their 6-story, let's say this right here is their 6-story apartment building they're sitting on top of. You're up here looking what would be technically down at them, giving them insight from your perspective of being able to see much more than they know exists from their field of vision, but they're too busy trying to say how you make them feel for sharing with them. And why is this all important? Like I said, go watch the other video for the full details, because what's important is how many ounces are in a cup, right? And I know a few of you are gonna say, "Oh, that's easy," right? You're gonna say, let's look. There's 8 ounces, 8 fluid ounces. If you're talking fluid ounces, you're gonna say there's 8 fluid ounces in a cup. Pasha, what are you talking about? But here's the reality to it. If you said 8 fluid ounces, that was your. If you said 8 ounces, your answer is only right some of the time. No, Pasha, it say right there on the screen on Google search that there are 8 fluid ounces in a cup. The problem is, in order for there to be 8 fluid ounces in a cup, the cup must be 8 fluid ounces in volume only. See, it's not about what you believe, it's about what is. And this was a great example of that. Because if you have a cup that you can pour a whole gallon jug of water into, if your cup is that big, right? Then how many ounces are in that cup? It's no longer 8 fluid ounces. You'd have to look and see how many ounces are in a gallon, because that cup is bigger than 8 fluid ounces of volume. Now, this is what happens. Remember, the people, go back to this. Like I said, go check the other video out. So the people here that are on a 6-story level of consciousness, right? They're at the top of that, because here's the whole thing. So 6 stories up, let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They got to the level of desire. I'm just throwing this out here. But what happens is, when you get to a certain level, you if you don't have the open mind, you don't know that there's levels above it. So when someone speaks to you from a higher level and you're not emotionally prepared for it, you feel like they're talking down to you. You feel like they don't know what they're talking about. You say they can't relate because they're inside and you're outside all the time, but you didn't realize that they got the same complaints that you had about traffic, and working in office settings and toxic workplaces. So they built something that they could work in their own created environment for. Right? So when you're only at the top of the 6-story apartment, how big is your cup? How big is that field of view? Compared to the field of view here you're at this level now. They're down there thinking they're the shit. You're here trying to tell them something. They're cussing you out because they're emotional. And you're looking at the top of that building in the middle here saying, wow, I wonder what I can learn from there. What's the view look like from there? How much more can I see from that perspective? Is the difference in the mentality. You either accept that there are levels of view above yours, or you pretend that you're at the top of the world and you can't learn nothing from anybody else or anything else. And then that determines how big your cup is. Your cup is your field of view. So now what happens is, here's where the problem comes into play. People who thought they had a big cup or that they were the big cup, then you start to pour your gallon into them and they get fatigued. They want to tell you how they'd avoid you because you wear them the fuck out, because they're not built for that gallon yet, but they were talking shit like they were. And you drown them. But see, the reason you have a gallon jug is because you got to pour into all the cups. They're going to take what you pour into them, and then they go to their 6-story apartment and they pour a little bit in here, a little drop into there, a little drop into there, a little drop into here. And then everybody else, because their cup is only the size of the thimble. It's not a whole cup. Their cup is this. So they're like, oh man, you filled up my cup. Thank you very much. Oh wow, you're amazing. And then they take that ego-ness, the wrong people, that fills up their ego. Like, yeah, I'm out here filling up cups. Like the sales guys, my people said that I'm great at what I do. Yeah, you're great because you're talking to people who don't know nothing. When you talk to me who know here compared to you talking, teaching down here, and I share that with you, you get offended. We not filling up thimbles where I'm at. So you missed the opportunity to learn and grow because your ego got in the way and you didn't understand English. And instead of you growing, you chose to be dumb, to be ignorant, which means that if the leadership is ignorant, what does that mean for the people following you? They have to at least be at a lower level. This is why I invest in leadership, whether they think they're good or they're bad. Because the opportunity is to develop the leadership to reach the people that they represent. So someone else got a little bigger cup. I just happen to have these over here. This wasn't planned, by the way. This is citrine. So their cup's a little bigger, but you're still pouring into a smaller cup from someone who poured into you that's a gallon. Azurite, and malachite, and some matrix. But what my point is then do you share with them? Okay, do you share with them the plug? We know what the the street code say, right? In some cases, I ain't gonna say street code, but we know what businesses do. They don't want to give away their source out of fear that you will become their equal. See, here's the problem. When you reach enlightenment, the goal is to make everyone at least know that they're equal. Whether they perform that or not, we all equal. The problem is you can't have equality in life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness in a currency-based system, which is why Pasha advocates for getting rid of the currency completely so we can actually all perform equally. Then you wouldn't have to feel like this person is better than the next person because you could start your $10 million business the same way they went into the bank and signed, instead of you having to hustle up, risk your life, and then convert it into legitimate business and then build that up and then have a $10 million thing that you can go and invest. You know what I mean? Like, we have people out here that are getting grants from the government, judging people who are working their ass off, getting real clients. You have people in this world who are judging someone doing everything by themselves, and they have a spouse, and the only reason they're with their spouse is because of convenience and comfort. They help them with the bills, and then they have a son or daughter, and they make them pay rent to contribute to the bills. So because they have tapped everything around them in their family, they may have X amount of dollars, but then they're judging you because you do it all by yourself and yours doesn't look like what they do because you're starting off. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's all this dumb shit. Because why? Because the finance part. You have an idea right now about a product you want to create, an invention, but you can't make it because you spend all your time at work. So you can't explore your creativity. So this is why people hate you, because you're exploring your creativity by you're forcing yourself to, in some cases, while they sit there and watch the football game instead. But they attack you for producing something because they're consumer minded, right? So it's all of this dumb shit because people don't realize what their cup is. They don't realize how small their cups are. So when you have a small cup and someone tries to pour into you, you feel like it's too much because you feel like you're full. I'm full. I'm already this top of the 6-story apartment. I'm the shit, right? But you don't realize when the person pouring from the sky, from the cloud level, the rainfall volume, when they say it rained 2 inches of rain today, you think that's a small amount because you heard 2 inches, but it rained 2 inches of rain over a 1,000-mile square area. That's volumes of water. So you can't relate to the person pouring, that's raining knowledge on people, when you are pouring from a little cup in comparison. So take the opportunity to realize there's levels above the level that you at, and be acceptant and appreciate when a motherfucker comes to you and shares, because an hour to have the same conversation with you that they're doing for free because they simply want to see you succeed. But then as soon as they say, all right, you know what, I'm tired of the disrespect, and they don't entertain you, now you hating on them. Now they're a problem. Now there's something wrong with them as usual. But there was something wrong with them when they were trying to give you the information. There's something wrong with you when they say they don't give a fuck anymore. Why? Because what level you're on determines your actions. And if you're finding fault in others for your own actions, then you haven't found the reason through willingness to accept your responsibility for yourself and your actions on others. So how many ounces are in a cup depends on the size of the cup. Pasha Pyro, YNet7. Thank you for tuning. We got to get this right, America. We're going to have to split. You got United States citizens in your family, and that mentality, it's a poison. They don't realize it. Now, some people are calling themselves United States citizens, but they have more of an American mind. Look for that. We need to talk to them. We got to get this critical mass here. The rest of them, it might be too late for them. They too far gone. They having conversations about their ego getting in the way. They want to tell you how much they, because they own a 6-story apartment. They don't realize how many floors are in some of these skyscrapers. They don't realize how tall, how high up you can be on a jet. And they don't know how far or what the view look like when you're sitting on the surface of the moon looking at the earth. It's a mental illness. We have to start treating it as such. United States citizenship is a mental disorder. And we need to offer them healing. Pasha Paro, why